Welcome to the second mock draft Monday that we are going to do. Last week was super fun. We had some great input. I think we came away with a pretty good draft, to be honest with you. Slid back to pick 34 after a trade with the Jets, also acquired pick 66. What we came away with was Zaven Collins at 34, Pat Freiermuth at 55, Javonte Williams at 66. We also traded up here, pick 87 in a fourth round the following year for pick 78 to get Josh Myers, the center out of Ohio State. We get Ben Cleveland at 128, 153, Daz Newsome, Paris Ford at 194. I personally don't see him sticking around that long, but hey. Shakur Brown, cornerback out of Michigan State at 201. Josh Ball, kind of a project-type tackle at 217. And then Kyrus Tonga at 225 to round out the draft. Just a run-stopping defensive tackle. We know that we could potentially need that if the team does lose Tyson Alualu due to financial restrictions. So I think we came away with a pretty good draft. I'm excited to see where this one goes. As is every week, we look forward to seeing in the comments your guys' input into these things. So let me share my screen here, and we'll minimize our screen so you don't have to look at us in too big of a picture. Oh, by the way, I do have the Turner's tee again, so still waiting on that. But as always, we are part of AllSteelers.com and presented by Crowworthy. And big shout out to the sponsors of the show, Keats Barbershop and BenchClears.com. So shout out to those guys. But here we are. We do, like I said, 7-round mock draft. We started on slow. That way we can go pick by pick. Last week, huge trade. Chicago moving all the way up to 4. If you guys were here last week and remember that, they gave up 5 picks to do so. First and second round picks, both this year and next year, and then a third round pick this year as well to do so. So that's the type of trade that you have to make to jump up that far. Don't see the Steelers doing that. However, if one of those top 4 guys slides out of maybe like the top dozen, we could see something like that.
What's up, Ricky?
Ricky's in here already. All right. Yeah, Ricky, yeah. I know where Ricky would like to go with this pick, by the way. Should we stay at 24? And should this guy go to 24? Last week, Najee Harris wasn't even there at 24. We didn't have the option to do that. He went at like 17 or 18, something like that. But, yeah, without further ado.
Yeah.
What's that?
I believe it was 18, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Without further ado, let's get into this. We're just going to kind of banter as we're going through this as well. Big news today, not necessarily involving the Steelers, the NFL. Fans going to be allowed back in the stands in a limited capacity for Penguin games and Pirate games. And, I mean, for Pirates games, people are going to make the joke, hey, 20% capacity is pretty much all they get anyway. But that's a great opportunity for, 7,000 people to go to a Pirate game, and we're going to have a great opportunity to do that, whereas like 2,000 people at a Penguins game, like we were talking about just before we started, ticket price like $300. So,
yeah, and it's crazy that like they announced it today, and that's as early as tomorrow. And the Pirates are open for opening day. It's funny how quickly it happened.
All right, so okay, I do want to say real quick. I mean, might as well pause it right here because this is notable. Trevor Lawrence, of course, we know is going to go number 1. Penei Sewell goes at number 2, though, as opposed to Zach Wilson. So in this scenario, the Jets sticking with Sam Darnold at quarterback. How we feel about that?
I don't hate it. I think that Sam Darnold gets a lot of hate for. That shouldn't be on him because of the organization he plays for and not so much his actual skill. The organization is just toxic and is not a good place to play. Maybe they have faith in him and maybe they don't pick a quarterback. I personally don't see that happening. I think they're definitely going to go quarterback, whether it's Zach Wilson, Justin Fields. You could argue whoever that is, but yeah, it's surprising to see that they went with tackle. I mean, there was a long time where everybody was like, Sam Darnold to Pittsburgh. Because the Jets don't want him. That kind of slowed down a little bit, but I don't think Sam Darnold's a bad quarterback. It's just not a good fit.
New coaching staff, a GM that didn't draft him, like it's kind of all up in the air what they could do here. I could see this going a multitude of ways, but I will say if I were a betting man, which I am, by the way, my money would be on them taking Zach Wilson at number 2 as of right now. Like, I'm not even saying taking a quarterback. I would say Zach Wilson is the guy at number 2.
My guy.
So let's see. He's got to go 4 here, right? I mean, oh my. Okay, all right.
Justin Fields.
It's Justin Fields, and this is the same. That's the same spot he went. It's a different team, but San Fran slides up from 12 to 4. They give up pick 12, pick 43, first and second. I think that would be the expected return. That seems like fair value to do so. move up 8 spots to pick number 4. Man, I don't expect this to happen. I also didn't expect Chicago to move up the way that they did, but that is massive.
Let's trade the house for Zach Wilson right now.
I think I'm curious to see what Philly does here because Philly's in an interesting spot now, as we talked about last week. Let's see. Okay, no, they didn't do it. So yeah. All right. So does Detroit pull the trigger?
He's got to go to Detroit. He has to.
Even after acquiring Jared Goff, does Detroit take a quarterback in this draft? Because if they're not going to, they're kind of in that prime spot to trade back, trade one of these picks away, trade that pick away, and move back. If they're not planning on taking a quarterback. However, I haven't been sold on Jared Goff since he went to the Super Bowl. He's regressed. And I think that it would be a wise move here to get Zach Wilson because the thing is, too, he doesn't necessarily have to play right away, but he would be the expected starter in the very near future. But at least he doesn't have to come in right away because Jared Goff is at least close to an average quarterback in the NFL.
Jared Goff is mediocre and makes way too much money for what he's worth. So
that's the thing. That's the thing is teams got to stop paying these average quarterbacks just because they play the most important position. Like, why are you paying a guy like Jared Goff? Or I understand the 1 year that Carson Wentz had when he unfortunately tore his ACL, thanks to something that was said on this show, by the way. Jimmy Garoppolo played 5 games for San Francisco before getting paid. Like, it's just a trend. Okay, let's see what Detroit does here. We can talk about it after. Okay, no.
Devontae Smith.
Okay, all right.
Trey
I want to see what the comments think here. Pittsburgh and Denver have a history of trading with each other. Pretty close to this pick, actually, by the way. When we traded up from 20 to 10 for Devin Bush, giving up a second rounder or a third rounder that same year and a second rounder the following year. Was that what it was? Or no, it was second rounder that year, third rounder the following year.
Right.
Curious what the comments think about this. Do we try to make a play here up and trade with Denver to get Zach Wilson?
Let the next 2 pick. So let Denver and the Cowboys pick.
Then trade with
the Giants.
I'm kind of worried. I'm kind of worried that somebody else might trade up or Dallas could take him at 10 because that has happened in different mock drafts, and that's a scenario where they don't pay Dak. They don't tag him.
Couldn't Denver take him too? They're not sold on Drew Lock, I feel like.
Denver could. I don't see it happening, but I haven't done a single mock where they have.
Well, there's not many mocks where he gets pat to this point.
No, but I have seen that happen, and in no case does he go to Denver here. Denver typically always goes corner.
All right, so trade with the Giants. Steelers should not trade. Ben is the guy.
So yeah, I'm
a huge mock draft guy. Thanks, Sarge.
All right, so the comments are telling us to not trade at least yet, right here.
Fine, we'll do it another week for me.
Well, no. Let's see what happens in these next couple picks.
Okay.
So now he's back past Dallas there. So the Giants have pick 11.
The Giants might not take him, but I feel like there's no way he's getting past the Falcons.
What a draft this could, or first round I should say, this could end up being for the Falcons to trade back from 4 to 12 and still possibly get Zach Wilson.
I don't know. Do you think that the Giants would pass up on him even with Danny Dimes? No.
I've seen them go Zach Wilson here. I don't think that they're expecting a scenario where this happens, like for any of those top 4 quarterbacks. But if it does, I'm not rolling with Danny Dimes over any of those top 4.
We got to put in a trade offer then, unless we just don't worry about quarterback.
Trade up for Surtain.
We don't have
to. Yeah, he is good.
He's good, but he's not Zach Wilson.
He's not the same position as Zach Wilson.
No. That's more so what I meant. He's not a quarterback.
All right, so I would be on board with at least kicking the tires on this. I know you would be.
Yeah. So you don't really have to argue with me.
Ricky says do it. Obviously, we see Wayne wanting to trade up for Patrick Surtain. Trade up for Najee Harris. No.
I'd rather.
All right. As much as I like, let's it's too good to pass up at the spot. Let's see if we can make something work here. I'm not willing to give. Okay, so 24 and 11 are the obvious things here. Can we get away with just giving them next year's first and nothing else?
I guess it depends on what the computer's thinking that New York wants. Because if like the computer thinks that okay, they're taking Zach Wilson, I don't think they'd take just 2 firsts. But maybe they will. I mean, we don't have to be sold on a quarterback, so I guess we could just offer that to kick the tires on it. And
like,
then
the Giants might do that, but I'm more so thinking we got to jump ahead of the Falcons taking him. I'm not really thinking about the Giants doing it. Like it's a possibility that they could, but making this move is more so for me thinking we can't let him get to the Falcons.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. It's your call. I never traded mock drafts because it confuses me. But trade was declined.
Are we willing to give more, or do we walk away?
2 first and a 2022 third for their first and a 2022 fifth.
So you're saying 24
2 first
and third for 11
and then
that's
trade? Yeah, I guess so.
Wayne, we are definitely not on the same page with anything, pal. We're set. I don't know what you were watching this past year to think that we would be set by just getting Najee Harris.
He wasn't watching the offensive line.
There's a lot of work to do, and a quarterback isn't the end-be-all solution either. But it's the most important position, and we don't have one of the future.
All right, let's send this thing through. See what they say.
All right.
Let's go.
So we're now picking, and we know where we're going with this. And the good news for mock draft purposes is we didn't give up any other picks this year.
That's true.
So we can still go offensive line or running back with the next pick. I think ideally we can move back a couple spots with our next pick. What do we want to do with Connor's out of the picture for me at this point? I mean, I think that the team has pretty much already said that they're going to go in a different direction. My money is on them going Najee Harris at 24. I think that that's what's going to happen. It's not necessarily the way that I would go because I agree that they do need to fix the ground game, but I think it's more about the offensive line than anything, and the value will be there to get a running back in the second or third round. So that's my ideal scenario. I also love this because Rashad Bateman didn't fall to any team in the AFC North. So that's good. But yeah, I don't think that James Conner is part of Pittsburgh's future. I wish him the best. And I do think that he can be successful. It's all about the health. And I don't think that he is the main reason that the running game struggled this year. I think it is more so on the offensive line and just the offensive game plan in general. So I do think that he has a place in the NFL, and I'm curious to see where he goes.
Mac Jones went to the Falcons at 35.
Yeah, I mean, we sniped them on Zach Wilson, so I guess they just waited till who did they end up going at 12? Micah Parsons. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. They need a lot of help on defense. Connor going to go to LA. I mean, I guess I could see that. He would obviously be behind Cam Akers there, who did exactly what I expected him to in that second half. But I mean, they still have a couple other running backs as well. Darrell Henderson's there. Malcolm Brown was okay for a period of time. But James Conner would certainly be an upgrade in my opinion when healthy, over everybody besides Cam Akers.
Creed Humphrey just went to the Dolphins.
Who was that? Oh,
Creed Humphrey went to the Dolphins. Alex Leatherwood fell to 52.
That's interesting.
I've seen him going a lot further in other drafts.
Okay, so we have a trade offer here: pick 55 for 68 and 108. When we look at the board, I think that it's clear. We know we need a center. Landon Dickerson is still there. He's the clear cut top center on the board right now, though I do like these other two options as well. And then you got to look at running back. Javonte Williams is off the board. He went somewhere up here, I guess. He went to New England.
Oh, yeah, he went to 46.
So you have, do we go? Don't love the value of a running back here. I'll be honest with you. Also, tackle could be in play. If you just want to look at the entire board here, Asante Samuel Jr. If we were to lose both Hilton and Sutton, with Hayden being on the last year of his deal, and same for Steven Nelson as of right now, corner is a need for this team. It's kind of an underrated one, so I can see that.
I don't know. Are we set on sticking with 55?
Yeah, Wayne, you're talking about Quinn Miners, who actually was a guard, but he snapped the ball. He played a lot of center in Mobile at the Senior Bowl, and he's coming in as a center. So, yeah, he's definitely. And David Moore out of Grambling State as well was playing a lot of center. So he's another interesting guy later on that I think could potentially be a fit. What were you saying? Are we set on staying at this pick? No, I mean, I don't mind the idea, especially because Javonte Williams isn't there, but we know that we're not getting Landon Dickerson if we move back. So if Landon Dickerson was the guy that we were keying on here, we can't make this trade.
What was the trade again? We get 68 and 108?
68 and 108. It's funny that Atlanta wants to deal with us after we sniped them on Zach Wilson.
So we'd have 68, 87, and 108. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm okay to move back then. Unless you want to take, unless you were set on taking Landon Dickerson or maybe Eichenberg from Notre Dame at tackle, I'm okay to move back. I think getting the extra picks could be good.
Yeah, I'm completely on the fence here. So I'm just going to let the comments see what they think, because if we stay at this pick, I don't think that it's another player besides Dickerson that I would go with here. If we move back, I think that it gets interesting because one of these running backs that are still going to be there would make sense. Eichenberg or Radunes could be there. Yeah, so what do you guys think? Do you think we move back here? Or do we stay at pick 55 and make a selection? And if so, is Landon Dickerson the guy, or is there somebody else that you think should be the guy?
I feel like he would have to be the guy if we stayed. Just because, I mean, Asante Samuel's there, but when you're looking at the team, the offensive line and center specifically is way more in need than corner.
Center, I think, is their most immediate need right now. But the thing is, the reason that it wouldn't be their first round pick is I don't think that there's a first round center. I think that there's like 4 or 5 guys that go day 2.
Ricky said pick Dickerson.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with that either.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, I think it's their most pressing need. So, yeah, let's just do it. We'll go with Dickerson here. We didn't take him in the last mock. It's been a popular pick, so might as well take him this one. Can we get this ad out of the way? No, apparently I can't exit out of this one too. What's funny is I played around with a lot of these overlays, and I actually had one that was covering this up. But then it was just like so much space over here. It just didn't look right. I actually saw a mock today from somebody at CBS that had Carlos Basham Jr., the edge out of Wake Forest, who just went right there, 63, as the Steelers' first-round pick at 24.
No.
Crack.
Amon-Ra St. Brown went this to 70. Normally I see him in mocks around like mid-50s to early 60s. Mm-hmm. There goes Quinn Miners.
Yeah. Well, if we see Josh Myers, we would have had a. Would we have picked by now? We would have picked by now if we traded back. I was gonna say we would have really been in trouble if we see Josh Myers go here soon.
Patrick Jones, Pit Boy.
Yeah, 81. There was a point in time where they were talking about him as like a fringe first round guy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there goes Dylan Radunes. 2 trade offers this time. 87 for 101 and 140. Let's reject that one. Okay, so this is really the only one to even consider. Move back 14 spots, but obviously do acquire pick 140, which is that still in the? It is still in the. We got back-to-back picks there. So yeah, you're getting a back end of the 4th round pick back to move back here in round 3. I don't know. Any thoughts on? Let's take a look at the board, I guess. First, Brevin Jordan could make sense here, obviously tight end, but we haven't taken a running back yet. Kenneth Gainwell's there. The value kind of lines up with the spot that we're picking at as well. We also haven't taken the tackle. The tackles, we're kind of in the same spot as we were last week.
Yeah. There's Jalen Moore from Western Michigan. He's way out, so you only got the 3 up top. Brady Christensen, Adrian Ailey, and James Hudson. And obviously I'm biased. I'm going to take another BYU guy, Brady Christensen, but I don't want to pick him right here.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What's the offer again? We get 140 and
101 and 140 for 87.
I guess it depends on what you want to look at running back. Like, do you want to get Kenneth Gainwell now, or do you want to try to get a guy like Trey Sermon at like 128?
For me personally, I like Trey Sermon and everything. Kenneth Gainwell is like the last of in my mind, that upper echelon of the running backs of this class.
Mm-hmm.
So if he were to go before we pick at 101, I don't love what we're going to be having at running back. And again, I think that fixing the running game is a massive, massive need going into the 2021 season. And it's not all on the running back. It's also on the offensive line. Those things go hand in hand when it comes to fixing the run game. Yes, I am assuming Filer and Big Al walk here.
Then let's go get Kenneth Gainwell if we want to stick with running back of this pick. And
yeah, I think the only other option for me is Brevin Jordan, to be honest with you. I mean, we could look at the defensive side of the ball real quick. I don't like although I do like Cameron McBrone as a player. I don't think the value is right here. And I don't think I like Keith Taylor a little bit further down. I know they need some edge help. I think for me personally, if this is mine, just mine personally, I'm going Kenneth Gainwell.
Then let's do it.
All right. So we're ignoring that trade offer. We actually didn't even decline it. I just straight up ignored it. Detroit.
You think that happens?
Davis Mills. No.
Do you think that happens where they just don't even say no and they just make a pick?
I can't see that being the case. I think that there's because word gets around quick, I feel like, in front offices. Everybody has a reputation. You don't want to be known as the guy that just literally straight up ignores other GMs.
Maybe you do. Maybe it's 200 IQ.
I want to monitor
an intimidation
what's happening
factor.
with tight ends as we get further along here.
Wow, the Ravens took another running back.
Well, they did lose. They're probably going to lose. Well, they already lost Mark Ingram. They released him. They very well could lose Gus Edwards as well.
Yeah. They've already got a running back for a quarterback.
As opposed to paying another running back. Can Banner play left tackle? They're assuming that he's going to be able to. The jury's still out there, in my opinion. I'm not 100% sold on that. I think there's a lot of questions about his athleticism to be able to play that position. I don't love the footwork, and I'm very curious to see if he can make up with that. How he can make up for that. Brady Christensen 120 to the Pats. That's gotta hurt for you. Wait, did
Dude,
Ricky
I've
say
seen.
that the Jaguars took Trask as well?
Did they?
What the? Is that like an RG3 Kirk Cousins draft model?
I guess so. You just
This has been kind of a weird one, to be honest with you. We never know how these things are going to
see
play
who
out.
Aaron Banks is gone.
Okay, so we're up here. Yeah, it can't be tackled with this pick. This is exactly like last week in terms of that.
Yeah.
Like Trey McKitty, but I don't know that right here's the spot for him.
Too early.
Nico Collins, the best player on the board, wide receiver. They could stand to add one. It's crazy to see Shaun Wade here, especially somebody that watched a lot of Ohio State football. Like coming into this past year, he was like a top. He's a first round guy, mid to back end of the first round prospect. And the way that he's fallen, where he's not going before day 3 now, in my mind, there's not a chance he goes in round 2 or 3 either. It's just crazy to see how far he's fallen.
So what position are you thinking of taking?
Like this, if we're gonna lose Juju, which is definitely a possibility, I think wide receiver can be considered. The reason I brought up Shaun Wade was because I think you should add something to that secondary as well for depth purposes. They need some edge help. I really wish somebody would have offered us a trade here, honestly, to move back a little bit.
There's just not a lot of good value for picks we would make.
I like Paulson Adebo and Ben St. Juste as well, but I don't think you need to take them right here.
I mean, you could probably get them at 141.
Yeah.
I mean, Nico Collins is the best value, but is that are you going to pick that kind of wide receiver?
Yeah, I mean, the linebackers are honestly where I'm looking at. Like Monty Rice and Tony Fields, the second out of West Virginia, would probably be where I went, and then I'd look receiver at 141. Because I think that you're going to have Shi Smith or Cade Johnson as a possibility. And I like the fit for the Steelers personally more than I like Nico Collins' fit in this offense. So if this were me, I would probably go with one of these two linebackers and then wide receiver at 141. So it just depends which one you like more. And I'm not as familiar with Monty Rice as I am Tony Fields the second. So Ricky said Tony Fields possibly. So I don't know if that's a good indication that that's the direction we're supposed to go here, where he would go.
I've seen people being lower on Monty Rice than where draft boards have him ranked. So
Really?
I'm fine taking. Yeah, I'm fine taking Tony Fields second.
I'm actually surprised. Jamin Davis is a player that I really like at Kentucky. I'm surprised how low he is. So maybe we go. I completely just switched my mind actually.
Okay.
On what we should do. I would go a different position here, and I would take linebacker at 141. And assuming that nobody offers us trade to move back, I would still feel comfortable taking Jamin Davis at 141, even though he's listed 176 here. I'm not putting too much thought into that. I think that he's actually exactly what the Steelers need inside, that sideline to sideline he can actually cover. I think that's what they're looking for inside.
All right, so what other position?
Ricky said probably Collins. I think that the other guys fit the Steelers a little bit better. I would take Shi Smith here.
I'm fine with that. He could play in the slot.
Now, if somebody takes Jamin Davis before the next pick, I'm gonna be very upset.
Nico Collins went to the Ravens, by the way.
Come on. What would be happening if during our live show during the draft, the Steelers moved up and selected Zach Wilson?
I would grab that used BYU helmet right there, and I would put it on my head immediately. Actually, it wouldn't fit. I would put it as much as I had on my head as possible.
When's our next pick? 217. I don't think Jamin Davis falls all the way there. Yeah, I'm
Probably not. You do you.
So now,
if Zach Wilson was actually taken by the Steelers, like they traded up and take him, I don't even know how. I'd probably like run out of the room.
I'm surprised we haven't gotten any like trade offers in these later rounds at all.
Jalen Twyman went to the Texans.
He's gonna be asking for a
replacing JJ Watt. Man, that's another guy that's going day 3 in these drafts, and he was projected to be maybe a first-round pick going into the year
as well. I mean, Paulson Adebo was a guy that was very highly touted at one point,
and he's gone.
Yeah. So next pick, I mean, there's probably going to be a ton left. We don't pick for a while.
We don't pick for what 207 or something like that. 217. Okay.
Because the NFL hasn't officially announced like the comp picks yet, so these are kind of just like guesses at this point.
Right. We're just watching the board go.
Can't be much worse than Al. Yeah. Well, it's a topic for a different day. I'm just glad that saga's over. I wish we could change the speed of it right now.
Yeah, just speed up to 217.
Like midway through the draft, change the speed of it.
Yeah. That'd be nice because, literally every mock draft, there's, even when I go on fast, which I pretty much do every single mock draft, there's like a certain point between 141 and where we don't pick for like 60 picks.
Kind of putting you on the spot here, but
okay,
we obviously know what we want to have happen, and I've already said what I think is going to happen. I even put out my initial mock draft in article form. What do you think happens should the Steelers stay at pick 24? Like, what do you think they want to have happen?
I think that they want to take Najee Harris. They've been one of the teams that have been linked to him. And I think they're dumb enough to take a running back. I mean, not that it's a bad pick by any means. We've said that multiple times. Like, we can't really complain about it too much. He's a great running back. There's just other positions that we feel like there are bigger needs. Obviously, we would take tackles, but I mean, if
the thing that I'm really worried about is there's going to be a massive run on tackles right before the Steelers pick. When you look at, like, once the Colts traded for Wentz, that was writing on the wall. They're definitely going tackle.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at the teams that are picking, and when it comes to my pick, I'm just going to not pick for a second, scroll back up. All right, so we're picking right here. So just to scroll up and show you around this area, like, I think you can make the case that you're going to see like 6-7 tackles going round one. And like, Jets could go tackle, and like they did in this scenario. The Dolphins could go tackle, like the Bengals could go tackle. Dallas could go tackle. The Chargers are definitely going tackle. Cardinals very well could go tackle. Like, all these teams could go tackle. And then when you look at right where the Steelers pick, right now, pick 24, the Jets have 23. Should they go quarterback at 2? They probably take a tackle right here. The Titans, who their first round pick last year, apparently done with the team, Isaiah Wilson. They're probably going to look to take tackle this year. The Colts, who just traded for Carson Wentz, I just mentioned. They could go tackle. Like, there's going to be a run on tackles here. And I don't know that there's going to be great value in taking a tackle because of that.
Yeah,
And
that's what I mean whenever I say, like, a lot of picking a guy like Najee Harris, how upset I could be about it, depends on the players that are still available. Like, if someone like Darisaw or Cosme somehow make it to like pick 24 and they take Najee Harris over either of those guys, I'll be upset about it. But like, if your best tackle is like Alex Leatherwood, not that Alex Leatherwood is bad, it's just we don't know that he's going to be for sure a tackle in the NFL. So it's like at that point I'd be more okay with him taking Najee Harris.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm in that same boat. Like, I don't want them to take a tackle just to take a tackle. If Najee Harris is the highest player they have on their board, then so be it. But I look at that as a scenario where if you take a running back in the first round, like, the rest of your team better be complete. And we know the holes that the Steelers have. At the same time, I am not one of those people that's like, you have to take this position because we need this position. Like, I'm pretty much always of the mindset, take the best player available. Like, even if you have a good player at that position, don't pass up a great player because you have a good player. So if Najee Harris is the highest player on their board, so be it.
Yeah, I think that's what will happen, or at least that's what they're hoping for, probably.
Okay, so we are finally up again, and let's see what the board looks like.
We haven't taken a linebacker yet, so we could go Justin Hilliard.
We took Jamin Davis.
Oh wait, you yeah, I forgot you took him. Never mind.
I'm thinking it's got to be. I would do either Trey Brown corner. I think you could make the case for LeBron Ray here as well, but we need help on the edge. There's not much depth behind. Like, Watton and Highsmith are fine; they're great as starters, but who's going to be rotating in behind those guys? And Chris Rumpf, I actually took him in that one mock draft I wrote an article about. And the reason I think the Steelers will fall in love with this guy is he played multiple positions at Duke, played inside and outside. Even more important than that for the Steelers, I think, he's the son of a coach. So he's been around football for a long time. When you have that football IQ just instilled in him from such a young age, I think the Steelers are going to fall in love with that fact. So I've been taking him later on as well. So I think for me, it's either Trey Brown or Chris Rumpf the second here.
I would probably go Chris Rumpf only because I feel like you've got more to corner, at least for this year. We don't know whether Joe Hayden's going to be a cap casualty or not. You still got Steven Nelson, and then they're most likely going to re-sign both of Cam Sutton and Mike Hilton, at least hopefully. So
hey, we could always take,
I would look
Jason Pinnock from Pitt here.
True.
I didn't even know he was on.
But yeah, I would look at edge before corner at this point, probably just because there's not as much behind the starters at edge.
I think I'm with you. So let's go ahead and do that. Now I'm not even sold on them having to go corner at all in this draft. Defensive there goes LeBron Ray right there. So we took Kyrus Tonga, D tackle, in the last one. We might be put in a spot where that is again the pick. Let's see how this falls though. I mean, we could go Trey Brown here now if we wanted to. The other reason I keep bringing him up is I've actually looked at him quite a bit. I've taken him in several mock drafts. He looks like that project type of corner that the Steelers would look to. I don't want to say he reminds me of like a James Pierre, and I could see him falling in that same mold. James Pierre obviously wasn't drafted, but kind of reminds me of him, and I could see him getting his feet wet on special teams and then looking to maybe gradually see if there's something more inside of him. As we saw Pierre's play pick up towards the end of the year and even see some defensive snaps, jump Justin Lane on the depth chart, which is very bad news for him.
I was going to say, hopefully he's not another Justin Lane, though.
Yeah. I think he's a different type of player. I think that's where I would go with this pick, and then we take we still have two more after that. That's right. I really wish we'd gotten a tight end, but I don't love the way it falls. I think that we just kind of take a late round flyer, maybe on either Matt Bushman or Pro Wells. Those would be the two I would look at. I like Noah Gray a bit too. But let's just see how it falls. Let's just go ahead and take Trey Brown here.
Got it.
and see how the rest of it falls.
I'm assuming Kairos Tonga is not going to make it to 244, but who knows?
Yeah, and honestly, like if you look at our pending free agents, Tyson Alualu is one of the ones that I could see. Like, I would put my money on him being back.
Mm-hmm.
He's 33 years old. I think he loves it here. He's put in a starting role and thrived. I don't think he's going to command too much money because of his age, but he's a perfect fit for what we want to do. Hopefully, he's healthy. I think once he got hurt last year, kind of wasn't the same player, but before that, those guys up front were so good.
Well, and the defense wasn't the same because once he got hurt, Kairos Tonga just went to the Chargers. Once he got hurt, the Steelers could not stop the run, and we saw that multiple times.
Yeah.
All right. So we have.
Yeah, we could do a defensive tackle here. Or we could go tight end. To me, those would be the two positions I'm looking at to finish out this draft.
I mean, I would take Matt Bushman, but you might be able to get him at 255. I don't know what other people are going to take, though.
Yeah, I mean, value-wise, Lorenzo Neal's the best player on the board here, and he plays a position that we were talking about.
Yeah. I wouldn't hate it. We were talking about taking a defensive tackle anyway, so we could just wait to see which tight end's available. Who did you say is the other one you like besides Bushman? Luke Farrell? Pro Wells.
Stop me if you've heard this before about a tight end, but he's a converted basketball player. He's played very limited time at tight end, but he's an athletic freak, and he converted to that position pretty well. I think he led the team on receiving touchdowns the only year that he was like their full-time starter. So, I mean, he's kind of just a natural at the position, but both these guys are here for us to take. Matt Bushman was a guy that, you were very high on, obviously being a BYU guy, but even I saw him as a guy that was kind of like in that top 5 to 7 tight ends of his class. But then that Achilles injury kind of derailed any thought of that. So at this point, you're kind of throwing a dart on him being anything. Like who knows if he's going to be able to bounce back from that injury. But at the same time, when you're talking about pick 253 in a draft with 257 picks, you're throwing a dart at anybody that you take.
And with us having like 10 picks, I mean, odds are not all 10 are going to make the squad. So yeah. I would take Matt Bushman here just because I know if it does pan out, this is a guy who it reminds me kind of like Heath Miller, where he's good in the receiving game and he's like old reliable. He's like old reliable. Like you throw it to him and he's not going to drop it. And I saw that multiple times at BYU.
Yeah.
And his quarterback was Zach Wilson.
That's what I just took. There's a landing spot for him. This seems like a pretty good one to reunite him with his college quarterback, and hope that you catch lightning in a bottle. So let's just take Matt Bushman to round out this draft for us. Here in a few picks, it will pull up the full results for us, and we can go over those real quick.
So far, we have back-to-back drafts with Steelers taking BYU players.
Yeah. Okay, so we slide up from 24. This is the full details of the draft. We give up 24, next year's first, next year's third. We get Zach Wilson and next year's fifth from the Giants. The only reason that I'm okay with, especially this part of it, is when we lose Bud Dupree in free agency. I hate to say it, but it's going to happen. We're going to recoup a comp third anyway. So, take that for what you will. Yes, it won't be
give and take,
but we're going to be getting some comp picks back anyway. So,
and we traded up to take one of the top 4 quarterbacks. So,
yeah, we have our guy of the future. That's no longer a worry. Landon Dickerson at pick 55, Kenneth Gainwell at 87. So, right here, this is a big. When you look at Landon Dickerson, obviously, we have Kevin Dodson coming back. Hopefully, David DeCastro is a better player this year than he was last year, and it was just mainly due to injury. The only thing is, once again, there's just no tackles really fell to us. Shi Smith at 128, who I really like to fit there in the slot. Jamin Davis, I think, is an absolute steal here at 141, and they have him ranked even lower than that. I know that I'm a lot higher on him than most people, but shout out to my boy Steve, who put me on to him at Stevie WFT. He's a Washington football fan, but he put me onto this guy, and I'm a big fan. Chris Rumpf Jr., like I said, I think that the Steelers are going to fall in love with him because he's the son of a coach, played multiple positions at Duke. Trey Brown, kind of a flyer on him, to be honest with you, but it's just depth. Same with Lorenzo Neal. We don't even know if we're going to need a defensive tackle. It all kind of depends on what happens with Tyson Alualu, but he could fit in that rotation. And then Matt Bushman, just reuniting him with his college quarterback and Zach Wilson taking the flyer and hoping that he can come back from that devastating Achilles injury. So I don't hate the way that this turned out. It's just a lot different than last week for sure.
Yeah. And last week we didn't take a tackle till 2:17, I don't think. We took Josh Ball. Mm-hmm. And this week we didn't even take one, which is a lot different than most of the mock drafts I've been having.
Yeah, and it's like we both said we would love to take one early, but we're not going to take one just to take one. If the value's not there, so be it.
That's what we did last week because all the tackles were gone, which is why we traded back, and we had no problem with it. And then this week, we had no problem trading up because we were trading up for one of those top 4 quarterbacks. So each week's been different, and maybe next week we will take a tackle. Who knows? Maybe we'll take Najee Harris.
I feel like that's how one of these is going to play out. Did we even see where did he end up going?
Najee Harris. Saints. New
Orleans. That would be interesting. Hey, we just paid Alvin Kamara. Let's take a running back in the first round. Obviously, a more traditional running back because Kamara does everything, but that's still kind of interesting.
Samuel Cosme and Jalen Mayfield went 30-31 in this draft too.
Yeah. So they both would have. My ideal scenario involves us trading back. So I'll just put that out there. I would love to acquire like another top 75 pick by trading back.
Makes sense. I've done that quite a few times in drafts.
All right, but let me stop sharing that. But like I said, turned out very differently than our first one. We will be back next week for sure on Monday for another mock draft Monday. However, the following week, the Pens play on that Monday. So we will be doing at some point a mock draft that week, but I don't think it's going to be on Monday. I also think that we will have a couple guests for that show. Noah Strackbine and Donnie Druin, who are allsteelers.com guys, along with us, will be joining us to do it. So we're going to have the 4 of us and the fans, even more minds, going into these selections. This Wednesday for our Pens show, Cody Flavel, who also is part of writes for allsteelers.com, but he has his own thing, Let's Talk Pens, going on, will join us to talk some Penguins hockey and that absolutely terrible display that we saw last night, if you want to call it a hockey game. Other than that, as always, we want to thank you guys for tuning in on this mock draft Monday. Let us know what you think. You can tweet at us and tell us how bad you hated it, how much you loved it, what you want to see next time. Until then, it's been Smitty. It's been Tyler. We're about to go to Hank's, and we'll talk to you on Wednesday. Bye-bye.
Peace.